Are there aspects of Aikido that you feel are being neglected today in training?
We have a very, very poor structure of attacks, and I'm not even saying doing non-conventional attacks like people talk about, oh, you know, what do you do with a Thai boxer, what do you do with a Western style boxer. I'm talking about just actually being able to do the attacks that are part of the classic repertoire. You know, we have all these attacks, and the intent in the attacks is so bad. I go to seminars and I have people go do Shomanuchi, and then I don't move, and they just stop and they look shocked. They have no expectation of hitting me. If they hit me, they'd be upset. And that's how they're training with each other. There's absolutely no intent involved with our striking. The mechanics of the strikes are bad enough that you could let most Aikido people hit you, and it might even be annoying, but it wouldn't be anything more than that. And so how can you take your Aikido technique up to a high level when you're dealing with partners that are at a low level and they're attacking? I don't see how we can do that. And that brings on the larger picture of the whole role of uke has been, I think, completely misunderstood. You know, there are basically two schools of ukemi. And the way I was trained, which I think was really a very inefficient way to transmit anything, was the uke had the idea that he was supposed to come in and grab you and stop you, and you were supposed to figure out how to not let him stop you. And that is the silliest way to learn a skill. You know, that you don't learn a skill by not succeeding. You learn a skill by succeeding over and over and over again. And so it caused people to be tense and muscly. And, you know, it wasn't what our teacher was doing. Our teacher was relaxed and completely effortless. But the way we trained with each other, the only alternative to, if your partner decided to resist you, the only alternative, since you didn't know how to do what your teacher was doing, was to muscle things. So you imprinted fear, tension, and, you know, sometimes pain in the training over and over and over again, and none of which were what you wanted in the end product. So that isn't very good. But the flip side of that was there's a whole nother group of people that there's no intention in their attacks, and they really have very little idea how to organize their physical structures. Aikido people allow their structures to be dissolved in ways that no other martial artist will. You know, as soon as they feel the energy or an atemi coming to their face, you'll see them start to wobble and their chins will go up. I mean, no martial artist in the world will open his throat up. It's one of the things that gets you killed. You'll never see anybody but an Aikido person do that. And that's one of the things that the internal power people object to, and rightly so. People don't understand how to organize their own structures. And so if you don't understand that, if you can't just stand in a kamae and really understand how to ground out and have a strong structure, that's the foundation for everything. And if you don't have that foundation, then how can you do all of these myriad techniques that we have? You really can't. And if someone has even a modicum of skill on throwing, you can throw anybody, because the people you're throwing are really disorganized to start with. I mean, you can almost push them over with your fingers. So if we want to get better, once again, we have to make the ukemi better. And if we're resisting our partners, you know, imagine it's like going to driver ed, and this guy says, okay, put the key in and put the car in gear. And now, okay, pull out of the parking lot. And as you try and pull out, every time you put the car in gear, he hits the brake. That, you'll never learn to drive by not driving. You have to learn to drive. So, you know, we have to let our ukes understand that the uke's role is to enhance the partner's learning. That's his job. Doesn't mean to stop them, and it doesn't mean to fall over for them, because neither of those enhances the learning. Your job is to give as close to precisely the energy and quality of the attack that you saw the teacher's partner give him, and assuming the teacher, was using Aiki and has a decent level of skill, then that teacher's, whatever happened with that teacher, whatever technique came out of it, is reflective of that coming together of those two partners. And so you have to look at that as an uke and give your partner as close to that as possible so that your partner can then try and duplicate what the teacher did. If you're doing something other than that, it's a mess. And that's what you see most places. You go to whole schools where everybody's tanking for their partners, or you can go other places where, in the interest of being martial, they're all sitting there muscling each other and hunkering down, and it's like, in neither of those places will you ever see anyone become excellent at Aikido. It will not happen in that.
So, honest, ukemi, full intent, level appropriate,
Level appropriate,
and
obviously.
done in a way to help your partner succeed at the technique.
Yes.